Hi guys. I've never gone live on TikTok before, so this is my first time. My name's Michelle Roberts, and I own and built and own a half-acre market garden in North Carolina. So today's topic is tomatoes. I wanted to talk to you guys about growing tomatoes. If you are interested in them, which ones I think you should grow. When I set up this live, I thought I had only had, grown like a little over 40 varieties of tomatoes, but come to find out I counted them all and I've grown more like close to 50. So I wanted to hop on here today and explain to you guys which ones I think you should grow, and I would love it if you would follow me. Thank you so much for joining me today. I am so happy that you're here. So I want to talk with you guys about the tomatoes I've grown and which ones I recommend for you. I am really super geeked about helping people save money and by growing their own food, because you can. And specifically young people who have families or young people who are growing food for themselves or just want to save money. I'm very passionate about the fact that you can grow food and save money doing it. It's actually really cheap, much cheaper than what people charge you for. So like if you go to the grocery store and you look at tomatoes, for example, what we're talking about today, they're really expensive, and they're so expensive, but that's not what they cost. Like that's what you're being charged, but that's not what they cost. And so what I want for you guys, hold on, I got something's beeping. My watch just told me I reached my step goal, but I haven't moved, so I don't know what that's about. Okay, so anyway, just because tomatoes are super expensive in the store does not mean that's what they really cost. And I think it's crazy. Like every time I go into the grocery store now, I'm really shocked at how expensive everything is. So if you're excited about tomatoes, if you want to grow tomatoes, I'm in zone 8A, and we still have time to grow them. I haven't even started my tomatoes yet. So if you're north of me or you're in a colder climate, then you still have a lot of time to grow tomatoes too. So let me get into this and talk about, we're going to talk tomatoes today. So I've got a lot of tomato varieties that I recommend for you guys. If you have any questions about tomatoes, ask me. Like I know that you probably didn't like come on to TikTok Live and like, oh my gosh, I really have this question about tomatoes. But you might, and if you do, you can ask it and I will answer it if I can. So I have a lot of tomatoes here, and I want to talk about just basics about growing tomatoes. You can grow them in an inexpensive way where it makes a lot of sense for you to grow them yourself, and you can also grow them. Hi guys, thanks everybody for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thank y'all so much. You really can grow tomatoes, and it can be really cost effective for you to the degree that you can save a ton of money doing it. Eat right, eat well, get outside. The benefits, the health benefits of growing a garden are not just what you can eat and what you can save. It's the fresh air, it's being out with nature, it's all that fun stuff too. So you can grow tomatoes in any size garden. I have a half-acre garden. You don't need a half-acre garden. I've grown for 20 years plus, longer than that. I've had tiny little yards. I've grown in containers that were really small, 5-gallon containers, 7-gallon containers. I've had them all over my front porch. And you really don't have to have a ton of room. You don't have to have a ton of plants for it to make sense for you. So I want to get that out of the way because I think some people get nervous or worried about that. But I don't want you to sleep on like fabric containers. So, because people say, well, I need a raised bed. Like I need one of those big green stalks, or I need a raised bed. You actually don't need that. And I don't want you to worry about having to buy one of those thinking that you need one, because that might scare you away from growing. And I don't want you to be scared away from growing. I want you to grow all the food you want. And we're talking about tomatoes today, but that goes for everything else. So fabric containers, growing tomatoes in a fabric container is a great way for you to get a lot of tomatoes going and a lot of savings happening for you. And if you are interested in doing that, you're going to want to grow like 1 tomato plant in a 5-gallon container. You can grow 1 in a 7. You can maybe grow 2 in a 10-gallon pot if you want. And we're just talking about like small containers that can fit on your porch, front porch, back porch, wherever you get sun. So I really am a huge fan of this. And the first one I want to talk about to you, now that you can get a fabric container for $1 or $2. You might be able to get them at the dollar store, but I know you can get them at Amazon. And if you only want a few, you can go in on those with somebody. Otherwise, they're in packs of, I think, like 10 or 20. So I've definitely gotten those. Like I'll get 10 or 20 fabric containers for maybe 10 or 20, dollars or whatnot. So super, super cheap, super affordable for you to get started. The first tomato that I love to grow in a small container is a Baxter's Bush cherry. I don't know if this is like backwards for you guys. I got these seeds at Burpee. They are awesome. These little guys, they're cherry tomatoes like they say. And I don't know if they're organic. These seeds are organic. I don't know if I can't tell if they're hybrid or heirloom. You may be able to save seeds from these and get that to come back as what you are growing. I'm not sure if you can or not. But again, Baxter's Bush cherry, they're super vigorous. The plants are very compact and they only get up to about 3 to 4 feet tall, but they're so prolific. You'll have cherry tomatoes all over them, and they produce for a long time. So Baxter's Bush cherry tomatoes, put those in a pot. You can grow them in a 5-gallon pot. You could definitely, they love more space too. You could grow them in a 7-gallon, 10-gallon. Even a 20-gallon pot is too much, really. That's overkill. If you're growing in a fabric container, you just need a good quality soil. You don't have to go overboard on it. I like Purple Cow is a good brand for soil. I also cut my soil with like 50% composted leaf mulch because I get that for very cheap, and it works great for me. So I do half compost or half potting soil, half leaf mulch, and I put that in there. Water every day if you're using a container like a fabric container, because you don't have a big volume of soil and those containers can dry out really fast. So you want to make sure you've got lots of water. Just check it, do the first knuckle test. Like you put your finger down into the soil, and if it's dry all the way, then you need to give it some water. What I have found in the South where I am in Zone 8A in Western North Carolina, I water every day. I have like a little setup, but you don't need one. You can just go out with a watering can and check it and water it, and you're good to go. I promise you are not going to be upset if you have Baxter's Bush cherry in a small container. You can grow them out in a big garden too. Like you don't have to put them in a container, but I'm just saying if you only have a container, you can rock and roll with these for sure. I'm sitting here with I've just got a bunch of packs of tomato seeds, and we're just going to talk about them. I want to touch on hybrid versus heirloom really fast. Hybrid tomatoes is what I got my start growing. Now that I do sell food at my farm stand, I also have gone into some hybrid varieties because they are more disease resistant, I have found, and they produce more. I still have a soft spot in my heart for hybrids or heirlooms because you can save seeds from year to year. And so that's a really good way for you to make an initial investment on a pack of tomato seeds. This is Black Krim. These seeds were $2.75. Baker Creek always overstuffs the packs, so they say minimum of 25 seeds. There's probably 40 in here. A single seed will grow an entire tomato plant, and you'll get 5, 10, 20 pounds of tomatoes potentially off of this single seed that cost, I don't know, 10 cents. And when you go into the grocery store, I realize that in the United States right now, it's not summer. If you're in Australia, New Zealand, and elsewhere, it's a different story. But remember what it's like to go into the grocery store in like the middle of summer and you want a tomato and Like a pack of tomatoes can be $5. Like a $5 little pack of tomatoes. You're not going to have that situation when you grow your own, I promise you. So heirlooms, you can save seeds from. That's amazing. So you invest in the pack at one time. You grow a ton of tomatoes. You enjoy a ton of tomatoes. You let one ripen really well, and then you get those seeds. You put those seeds in water. You let them kind of sit in that water for a while so that the gelatinous cover over the seed has been eaten up a little bit by the bacteria in the water, just to get it off the seed. And then you pour that off, you dry your seeds, and that's it. And you've got, oh my gosh, I mean, think about how many seeds are in a tomato, right? If you save all those seeds for next year to grow, then you're going to have so many seeds for no money anymore, which is a super awesome deal. So let's keep going here. Oh, I've got some artichoke seeds in here too that don't belong, right? They belong, just not in this pack. You belong. I love you. Okay. Let me see here. So we're going to keep going with some hybrids or heirlooms, sorry, because I want to focus on the ones you can save seeds for. This is really key for your self-sufficiency. It's key for you to be able to feed your family for less money, feed them good food that you know where that food came from. You know that it hasn't had pesticides put on it. If you don't put pesticides, you know when it was harvested, you harvest it fresh. All those awesome things that are happening, you control when you grow your own food, which is awesome. So Amish paste, this is an heirloom tomato. This is a great one for canning because it doesn't have a lot of juice. And so it doesn't take a lot it does not take a lot for you to cook it down to make sauce, which is why those are a good idea. Cherokee purple is a tasty one. This does produce quite a bit for you. It is an heirloom. Sometimes heirlooms are fussy and they don't produce a lot, especially when it gets hot. But this one is a really good one. Again, heirloom, you can save seeds. This is cute. This is adorable. Not very productive. It's a micro tom tomato. It's a novelty. I have grown this, and they're pretty awesome. They're really cool looking, and they are legit that small. So again, more of a novelty than production, which is what we were talking about. This pack of seeds had like a minimum of 10 for $5, so that's 50 cents a seed. That's a little spendy. But I have a ton left in here. That's another beautiful thing, like I said, about Baker Creek is they always overstuff. So that means that if they say there's a minimum of 10, it's usually closer to 20. So that's good. Orange tomatoes. Orange tomatoes are fun because they don't have as much acid usually. And so a lot of folks like to grow these because the acid in a regular tomato really bothers them. And that's not the case with these, so that's why a lot of folks grow them. Orange Jazz, so fun. I'm just going to hold them sideways so the light doesn't glare. Hi, Joycey. I have a 100-pound pit bull, and she just walked up the stairs. You probably heard her. Hi, sweet baby. How's it going? Who's Mama's baby? Are you Mama's baby? Yes, you are. Yeah. She's a good girl. Okay, all right. You came for the tomato and stayed for joy. Okay. Orange Jazz, delicious, winter. Dad's Sunset. I like this name. It's a very sentimental name. And this is a cheaper tomato, so Dad's Sunset's a good one. Solar Flare is fun. If you want a tomato that puts like fruits and like ripens really fast, Thorburns Terracotta, which is an orangey burnt sienna honey brown color, is really tasty, and it's super early. It's like it's always been the earliest big tomato in my garden. So those are fun. Again, all of these that I'm showing you now are from Baker Creek. Baker Creek is great for the beginning gardener because they have free shipping. I think it used to be free for everything, and now it's like free for, I think you have to buy like a pack or two, but still. And they give you free seeds, like a free seed pack. So it's easy to go on there and get seeds and then forget, like you forgot something, then you go back on there. You could go like multiple times. I mean, yeah, I've been there a lot. You can go in and buy a couple packs and then go buy a couple more. And that's super handy, especially for the beginning gardener. Amish paste, again, love those for canning sauces. If you want to be more self-sufficient, you're going to start canning sauce. You're going to make your own barbecue sauce potentially, eventually. You're going to do salsas, and paste tomatoes work really well for that. Hungarian heart is another one from Baker Creek. What are some others that I recommend? This is a fun one, Kentucky beefsteak. Huge tomatoes. They're yellow. They just don't have as much acid as a red tomato, but they have a delicious tomato flavor. Highly recommend. Copia yellow brandywine. And I've grown all of these. I literally have grown, it was almost 50 varieties in my, just the last 5 years. So just trying to find the ones that work for me in my climate, so I would just grow them all. True Black Brandywine. This is a delicious tomato. I highly recommend True Black Brandywine. So good. It's very similar to Paul Robeson or Cherokee Purple. This is an old pack of seeds that's fabulous. I have since saved seeds from this, from growing this. This is an heirloom cherry. These are amazing. They taste great. And the cherry tomato that you get is about that big. So it's kind of a bigger tomato. And cherry tomatoes are the first in my garden. They're the first ones to ripen. And if I'm really jonesing for a ripe tomato, but my big ones are not ripe yet, I will sometimes take cherry tomatoes and slice them up and put them on a sandwich. And this is big enough to do that. It's not like a tiny one. It's got some size to it. So you can do that if you want. This is another novelty from Trader Joe's. No, not Trader Joe's. From Baker Creek. Napa Chardonnay Blush. These are really tasty tomatoes. They can be prone to cracking, but they are like a champagne colored sweet cherry tomato. Super yummy. Another novelty that is a huge producer is the Brad's Atomic Grape. These really do look beautiful. They can be difficult to, it can be difficult to know when they're ripe because they're not just red, as you can see. They're like an iridescent purpley green color, and you have to really feel them to know if they're ripe. And they are so prolific. Honestly, they are covered at all times. The heat doesn't bother them. Fungal diseases and other like leaf-footed bugs that I had such a problem with did not get these guys at all. And you could save seeds because they're heirlooms. And a lot of people have said, and I've not done this, but a lot of people have said they will grow these and then use them as in sauces because they're kind of like a Roma tomato. Super good. Brad's Atomic Grape. I do recommend you try this. Some people love it and some people hate it. I'm kind of in the middle, but it's super useful. So I get why people like it. Berkeley tie-dye. These are fun. You know, they're like a fun sort of novelty. They do well. I don't remember this. I don't remember how I feel about it. This is cream sausage. It is a paste tomato that is white pale yellow. It has a sweet flavor with productive plants. I don't doubt it. I'm sure it's yummy. But anyway, $3 for a pack of 25 seeds, which is probably closer to $3 for probably 40 seeds. Not a bad deal. Heirlooms, so you buy one pack, you save seeds, you never have to buy it again. So that's a sweet deal. Kellogg's Breakfast is a yellow tomato. It's not this pack, but it looks like this pack. Here's my pack of Kellogg's Breakfast, and it's not pretty, but it's very similar looking to this Dr. Wishy's yellow. Kellogg's Breakfast is amazing. It was called Kellogg's Breakfast because it looks like a glass of orange juice. So when they named it, they just called it Kellogg's Breakfast because it looks like orange juice. But they're huge yellow tomatoes, orangey tomatoes, and actually they taste like a red tomato to me. Just, you know, even though they're not red, they still just have that straight like vintage tomato flavor, just exactly what you would want. They are a striking tomato in the garden for sure. Dr. Wishy's yellow, also a solid choice. More artichokes got in here. That's weird. Okay, here's one that is a novelty that I would recommend that you grow. This is a Berries Crazy Cherry. These are at Baker Creek, and they're also, Barry is a guy, he's a grower at Wild Boar Farms, and he grows these. And this is a single truss. Like you can see how his fingers there holding it. All of these tomatoes are on a single cluster. And they grow like that, and they're sweet. They taste good. There's lots of them, and there are multiple trusses per plant. I mean, this plant is pretty unreal, and it's an heirloom. So if you want to invite your friends into your garden and wow them with your prowess and your expertise, again, all of these tomato plants, you could grow a single one in a 7-gallon fabric container or a 10-gallon. You know, we're not talking like, you don't need a ton of room for these. Just keep them watered and keep them fertilized if they're in a small container. Love it, love it. It's a novelty, 15 seeds for $4, closer to probably, I don't know, 20, 25 seeds. But again, you grow it once, you save the seeds, you don't have to buy it again. Mortgage Lifter is a great tomato. This has a super awesome story to this tomato. It's not super expensive either. So this fellow, MC Biles of West Virginia, it was named for paying off his mortgage. He grew these starts and he sold them for $1 a piece, I think it was, like a long time ago when that was like a lot of money for a plant start. And he used the proceeds of the plants that he sold to pay off his mortgage. Of course, things have changed a little bit in terms of what a mortgage is now versus what you can sell a plant start for, but still, it's a fun story. Pineapple tomatoes, fabulous. Love them. They're big, they're juicy, they're orangey, yellowy, reddish. They have a great flavor. You can't go wrong with those either. If you notice, like, I don't hate any of these tomatoes. Like, I haven't met one where I was like, you suck, I'm never gonna grow you again. But you can only have, like, I have a deer fence around my garden, and the space inside that deer fence is really like at a premium, and I can't waste space inside the deer fence. So I have to be picky and choosy as to what I put in there. And now that I've started selling tomatoes, I make different choices for, you know, disease resistance and production and all of that. I get the best tasting hybrids that I can possibly get that will also give me a good production. So, but you're a home gardener and you get to do whatever you want. So this is the bundle of seeds that I'm growing now, this coming year. And I'm pretty jazzed about those as well. I am still gonna grow hybrid tomato or heirloom tomatoes that do well for me and that my customers love, because I do have people who are now used to certain tomatoes and they want them. So Paul Robeson, for example, I'm always gonna grow that. I'm always going to grow Cherokee Purple, the Berries Crazy Cherry, the Napa Chardonnay, the Atomic Grape, all those. I'm going to grow all of those. But I'm also adding to those some that I'm growing for production's sake. I've got some hybrid versions of Cherokee Purple that do really well in my climate, so I'm going to be growing those. I love Sun Gold. And a Sun Gold tomato is like a gold cherry tomato. If you've been to a farmer's market and you've seen a container of gold tomatoes, they were almost guaranteed to be Sun Gold. And they're so good. They're so disease resistant. They're so tasty. And I realize they're hybrids, but they're worth it. So a lot of people feel differently about that, but man, they're super tasty. Also, Sweet 100. Most folks who are in rural areas, regardless of where, you know, north, south, east, west, they're familiar with Sweet 100s. And Lowe's, places like that, will carry these seeds, and they're an amazing cherry tomato. So I'm going to grow a bunch of those for sale in my garden. I have black cherry tomatoes I'll be growing. A couple, San Marzano paste. San Marzano is a heirloom tomato, or open pollinated maybe, which means I can save seeds from this, and I will be growing it as well. I love canning. I'm going to ramp up my canning. Well, I mean, I don't love it, but I can do it, and I want to save money because when I go into the store and I get that like 28 ounce can of tomatoes to make sauce or whatever, if they're San Marzano or even San Marzano variety, they're like $6, $7, $8 a can. So I'm just going to make those, I'm just going to can them myself for a lot cheaper. So stay tuned to those adventures. So like I said, San Marzano is the variety that I use for that. And there's an Andiamo variety that I also use for that. They did well this past year. Big Beef Plus. These are hybrids that are awesome. Love them. They're very disease resistant. They have a really good productivity and they taste good. They have a decent flavor. Hybrids have come a long way and they're definitely not like the store tomatoes that you see. They don't taste like that. They taste much better. Another good one that I like, Mountain Magic. I'll be growing that again. Skyway was a good one for me, but I don't know if I'll be growing it just because I don't have a lot of room. What are you? Oh, okay. What else? Roadster and Red Snapper. These are some I got from Haas Tools that I really liked, and I would recommend these. These are determinate, and I want to succession plant these next year. These are two beautiful tomatoes. A determinate tomato kind of sets all of its fruit at once, kind of during like maybe a 4-week period, 4 to 5, 6 weeks, and that's it. It kind of like sets all the fruit it's going to, and then it's done. Whereas an indeterminate, which is probably what we're most familiar with, is like it just keeps growing and growing forever. Like as long as it can grow, it's going to grow. You can have like a 10-foot tall tomato plant, but these don't do that. They sort of top off at a certain height. And so this time around, this year, I want to succession plant these because I want to have a lot of these coming on. So like every month or so, I want a new set of plants because they really did produce well. So if you see these, Roadster or Red Snapper, you should try those. This is Paul Robeson. It's an heirloom. It can get fussy in the hot weather, but I still love it so much. The production's really not that, I don't know, maybe it's me. My production on Paul Robeson has not ever been that huge, but the flavor of the tomato is out of this world. It is my hands down favorite tomato ever of any of them. And so I will always grow it. And my customers, I've gotten some really hooked on those as well. Black from Tula is also a tomato that is similar to Paul Robeson, so I want to grow that too and see how it compares. What else have I got in here? Lots and lots of tomato varieties. Paul Robeson, Aunt Molly's ground cherry. Well, that's in there. I did try to graft some tomatoes, and I have some rootstock in here. I don't know if I'm going to do that again. It was an abject failure. I failed miserably. I tried to graft a bunch of tomato plants, and I only ended up with one plant, and then it looked funky in the garden, and we kept trying to baby it, and then we just gave up. So I don't know if I'm going to do it again. Rutgers. The old-timey folks love a Rutgers tomato. It is a basic, delicious, determinate, like Campbell soup flavor, like, you know what I mean? Heirloom, grow forever, keep the seeds. Rutgers is tomatoes. Like, that's just how it is. That's every person, like my dad loves Rutgers. Every other person I talk to about tomatoes either loved Rutgers or their dad loved Rutgers or whatever. So stick with Rutgers and you'll go far. Baxter's Bush, I had another one of those. Again, if you have a patio and you have a small container, it can be a 5-gallon bucket, it can be whatever, grow Baxter's Bush. These are from Burpee, and honestly, that's the only place I could find them. I got these seeds last year. 65 seeds in here is not bad. It was like 10 cents a seed. You can see my little calculations on there because I was thinking about determinants still get big. I have 3 indoors. Yes, that's awesome. How do you have them? That's so awesome. Hippies indoor garden. Yeah, they do. Determinants are fabulous. I love them so much. I like pear beefsteak and then Brandywine. I've never tried pear beefsteak. Oh, wait, or like pear beefsteak and Brandywine. Yes, okay. So you're saying like 3 separate. Okay. I was like, what's a pear beefsteak? Yeah, that sounds good. Pear tomatoes, beefsteak. Beefsteak is a good solid one, and Brandywine for sure. Big, good solid one. Okay, you've got them under grow lights, and you have them in 7-gallon containers. That's awesome. I have a light that, oh, Pear's type of beefsteak. Okay. I will go look for that because as you can see, I've already grown a lot and I'll grow some more. That's awesome. So my husband got me a few years back. Oh, it's an Italian heirloom. Okay. I am legit writing that down because I'm going to go on a quest. My husband got me one of those lights that it's like a full spectrum light for my birthday one year. And I think it's meant to grow weed, like flowers and buds and like big weed plants. But I actually use it I have used it to grow tomato plants with some success. I did the microtoms, the little guys, not the huge ones. So pear beefsteak, Italian heirloom. I am all over that. The only Italian heirlooms I think I have grown so far are like a paste Italian. That's the only ones I've done so far, but I'm all over that. What else have I got? Paul Robeson. Oh, German Johnson. I got this from Annie's Heirloom Seeds. I sold plant starts last year, and every single one of my, oh, awesome. Full spec, yes. 3,500 watts. Wow. I have like one square.